You've been talking about fact and fiction, the historian on one side and the novelist on the other. Can I ask you who won?
Oh, listen, we were in agreement. No, no, no. The basic point really was the question of to what degree novelists should actually bring in real people. And what I object to is when you start having ideas and words put into the mouths or into the heads of real historical characters. I don't agree with sort of the Neil Ferguson thing that all historical fiction corrupts historical understanding. I think that's wrong. That's going far too far. But as far as the general thing is concerned over novels, it's fine, historical fiction, providing you don't cross that particular line.
I believe you began your writing career with fiction. Can you talk about how and why you made the transition to narrative history?
Well, it was a rather strange. Careers are always very strange things. I mean, I was a professional army officer. I was bored out of my mind, and in fact, I then suddenly found that I thought all my mother's side of the family had all been writers, and I thought, why not try writing? And so I started off by trying to write fiction. But later, publishers said, well, hang on a second, you're being a bit wasted. And actually, I wasn't really surviving off the sale of fiction. Why didn't you write about military history? And as that had always been a great love, it was an easy road to follow.
With Stalingrad, published in 1998, you're credited with inventing a whole new approach, perhaps even a new genre of historical writing. How much does the approach owe to fiction?
I think that you write. People ask who you're writing for. I think that all writers should write for themselves. I think it's ridiculous to try and sort of second guess your audience in any particular way. And I suppose, having started by writing fiction, the sort of book that I wanted to read would actually give me an impression of what it was like to have been there. And so that's why one looked for all the material. Nothing is made up at all. Nothing should ever be made up in that particular way. But if you select from letters and from diaries and all the rest of it and put it together, you can recreate the experience of the people who were there at the time.
Your recent history of World War II is much broader in its canvas. Is this a new departure?
No, it wasn't a new direction, but should we say it was a challenge which had always been hanging over my head. One of the things I realised, particularly when I was doing, say, the book on D-Day, was to see that the effect of one area of the war on another, whether it was the Eastern Front on the fighting in Northwest Europe or the Far East, and I suddenly realised that I didn't understand how the whole thing fitted together, and that was really the motive behind the book.
How do you go about deciding the next project?
Oh, well, I can reveal the next project. In fact, I'm booked up to 2021. The next project is the winter of 1944, the Ardennes Offensive, which is a story which has always rather fascinated me. And then after that, for me, finally, the war will be over. I've been writing about it for 4 times longer than the war itself lasted. And then I'll be doing a big biography of Napoleon, which is due for publication in 2021.
What does the future hold for popular history in the age of the screen? Will books still hold their own, do you think?
Well, that was actually really one of the things we were rather discussing today. I mean, are we into a post-literate society? You know, is the moving image king? And one fears in some ways that we are. But at the same time, because there is this corruption between fact and fiction, I think history is that much more essential, that much more important, so that people really know what are the facts rather than what is invented by Hollywood or whoever else.
Is there still a hankering to write fiction?
Yes. After the Napoleon comes out in 2021, I'm going back to a novel which I started a long time ago, and it's going to be covering really, shall we say, 1917 to 1945. So, you know, the first time is fact and the second time is fiction. So I think I can get away with it this time round.